Hey everyone, so here's a new episode of the Project Tiguan. It's been really frustrating, but what you're seeing here is a picture of the problem that I had, which apparently is quite common on the 2.0 TSI engines and probably on other vehicles. But on this particular car, what you're looking at here is the turbo clamp. So that's the clamp that actually holds the turbo to the exhaust manifold. And what ends up happening in the event that the clamp does break, which is what happened here, is that you will get into limp mode. Well, the engine will detect an underboost condition because you have exhaust gases escaping from the gap that is created when you don't have the clamp or when the clamp breaks. And so it throws off the measurement of the on the mass airflow in particular, and you end up having an exhaust leak. So outside of the fact that this is actually past the firewall, and that you can get exhaust gases getting back into the car, which was explained to me by the inspector, who actually failed my inspection when I brought the car to them. You will also get performance issue. The check engine light or CL is going to come on. You will get you can get the engine performance as well, light coming on. A whole bunch of things can go wrong. So now in their German engineering, unfortunately, the way this clamp is designed, which is I'm going to show you now, is that you have the section that I was showing you, which is when you look at the turbo from the top in the engine. This is the clamp, right? And what happened here is that in my case it was loose. So I just went ahead and grabbed the 10 mil wrench or ratchet with a bit, and I started just tightening the nut, which really, there was nothing extraordinary here that I was doing. But what happened is that it was so old and corroded and was obviously exposed to a lot of temperature changes that the metal had fatigued. And when at some point when I was continuing to tighten the nut, which was quite corroded, frankly, it just snapped the screw that the nut was screwing onto. At this point, I was screwed, literally. So I really didn't have any option that I could think of. So if you look at the way this clamp is designed, there is this little screw at the top here. The nut goes obviously on this side, and it tightens the clamp, right? And at the bottom, you have these, so it's made of two sections. At the bottom, you have this little link that is attached to the little loops of each of the halves of the clamp, and this cannot be removed. It's basically built this way, right? The problem is that in this super tight spot that you have here, it's very easy to do when the turbo and the exhaust manifold are dismantled and removed from the engine. But it's actually impossible to do when everything is in place, because there's a bracket that supports the assembly here that is not showing on this picture, and that basically prevents this little loop thing. This is a different picture from a different person who actually had the same problem. But this section here with a little loop on it, with the little ring, will not get into the space in the back. So you will not be able to remove the clamp and slide it back into the opening in order to put it back in place. It just doesn't fit. So I was unable to complete this project on my end. I ended up dealing with a company called Auto Extreme in Gatineau. I'll put the information in the video description because they were extremely helpful. But this, when I went to Volkswagen, they knew about the problem, and I went to another mechanic shop. It requires to them to remove the entire assembly. So this entire thing needs to come out in order to replace the clamp. The problem is that with this assembly, I believe you have a number of bolts that actually attach the exhaust manifold to the head, and there is simply no easy way to do it. I think it was a 7-hour job, but what they told me is that the bolts that actually attach the manifold to the head tend to get so corroded because of all the change of temperature, and typically that would be on the whole older vehicles as well, that they tend to snap. So when you have a bolt that snaps and the stud actually snaps from the head, well, you're into another hour of labor per bolt in order to drill it, remove it, retap it, and replace the bolt and whatever, right? So that was like a 10-hour job I was looking at. You're looking at $150 an hour around here, plus tax. So that was like a $1,700-$1,800 project here for this car. And as I was moving to Quebec, I had to make a call because I really had to get this fixed because the inspector told me no, it was actually considered a major problem and a major fault. So I was not even supposed to drive my car out of the shop at the time. But I still did it because that was the car I was driving at the time, and I had to find a way to get this fixed. So went to Volkswagen, told me about 10 hours. They were actually charging $180 an hour, I believe, or $170. I went to this other place. It was $150 an hour. But I was still looking at anywhere from $1,500, like the super low end, $1,500 to over $2,000 to replace a $40 clamp, which is really the cost of this part. Mind-boggling. So I had to make a decision here, and I went to this other shop, so Auto Extreme in Gatineau, and they've been through this situation before. They've seen that happen. They specialize in Volkswagen and German vehicles, and it took them an hour to replace it, simply because there is a way, apparently, to remove that bracket that gets in the way and then pry it out to create enough space to fit the new clamp in. And it literally took them about an hour to get this done. It might have been even a little quicker than that. But overall, that was about an hour and a half. So that was a very easy project for them. That literally saved the car because at $2,000, considering I paid about $3,500 for it, it just didn't make any sense. I would have just sold it in Ontario as is for cheap. I knew I wouldn't be able to get the inspection done in Quebec at that point because of what I was explaining earlier. So if you do run into this situation, there's a way. That's what I'm trying to say. There's a way to do this without removing the entire manifold plus turbo assembly. At which point, if you do go down that path, and if you have a turbo that's already 200,000 kilometers on it, you might as well replace it, right? If you're experiencing some issues, because that's another source of problems on these vehicles, on these engines. The turbo will get worn out. Ultimately, it might need replacement. So I was not willing to go down that path. I could not do it myself. I didn't have a garage. I didn't have the right equipment, and I knew I could sign up for some trouble here in case it would go sideways. So that place in Gatineau really saved the car fundamentally. So I thought I would point that out to kind of plan the decor of this video. Video basically shows the problems that I had. It doesn't show the actual solution, but know that it's doable and that it can be replaced without having to take apart the entire assembly. I will let you continue watch the video. It basically shows what the problem was and some of the things that I tried, because I did manage to reattach the nut to the thread here. By removing the little loop part that's in the back. So that piece here, I was able to remove it. I cut it basically. And I wanted to create space so that I could reattach the front correctly, because there's really not a lot of space to work with. And once I had this done, I wanted to reattach the back here. But in order to reattach them, I had to remove the little loop. So bend these little tabs out so that I could create enough space to take the little link out, and one of the little tabs here broke off because of metal fatigue again. So at that point, that was the end. Anywho, I'm gonna let you watch the video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Thanks. All right, so I'm gonna try something else here. As you can see, I still have a stud left actually on the screw, so there's still some thread left. I got some M6 10mm nuts, and I'm gonna try to grab onto this and see whether I can perhaps get it to secure the whole thing. So I'm gonna try that now. If it doesn't work, I have another plan, so stay put. All right, so there's been some positive developments on the clay situation. I was able to I got some nylon lock nuts. They're M6 and 10 mil, right? And I was able to actually catch on the thread after about an hour of trying to fix the tip of the threaded rod here that was still attached to the bracket, and I finally caught on it, so it's good. I have both halves now attached at the top here, and I'm gonna go back under the car and see what it looks like. It will be a lot easier to reattach them together at the bottom than at the top, right? So we'll see how that's gonna go. Alright, well, this project is gonna stop right here. What happened is that, so I managed to connect the two halves at the top with a nut. Unfortunately, what just literally happened is that as I was tightening a piece of wire around the two loops to connect them together at the bottom, the top half actually snapped. Right? So this is it. That's basically the end of this. There's nothing else I can do. It's broken now, so it will need to be fully replaced. I don't know when I'm gonna do that. This is gonna stay in place for now. Pretty pissed right now, honestly, because I was really getting to the end of this, and the metal was probably weak already. It's not uncommon for this to break. I've read that online. Hopefully this is going to hold a little bit for a little while, and until I get to the replacement of that thing, if I ever even do it. I'm not even sure at this point. So anywho, well, this is it. So there's no easy way to do this, clearly. And yeah, well, I'm hoping this is gonna help maybe some of you, probably not, but this was a bit of a disappointing experience. Anyways, well, stay put for more. Okay, I'm hanging up for now. See ya.